Today I'm going to show you how to make a basic granny square like this, and you're going to need a crochet hook and yarn. You can use any crochet hook and any yarn for this. I'm using worsted weight yarn and a H 5mm crochet hook. So I'm going to show you, you can make a granny square a lot bigger than this. This is pretty much a typical size, and I have sewn a couple together, which is another video. But I'm going to show you how to change colors and also how to do a solid color. So this is a pretty beginner friendly pattern. So I just learned how to do it recently. So I've enjoyed. So starting with a slip knot, we're going to chain 5. Then we're going to go back into the first chain and slip stitch so that we have a circle. So now we're going to start the granny square inside. We're going to put our stitches inside this hole right here. So we're going to do, this is all double crochets and chains. So your first double crochet, you're going to yarn over, put your hook through the middle circle, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that is a double crochet, and we're going to do 3 of those. So these are all like clusters of 3 double crochets. So 3 of those, and then you're going to chain 2. And then do 3 more and chain 2 and 3 more and chain 2. So you're doing 4 sets of 3 double crochets. So there's 1 with 2 chains in between. And that's going to become your 4 corners of your square. And here's number 3. And chain 2. So what I like about this is once you learn this pattern, you can do it really easily. You don't need a stitch marker or anything because it's just so clear where you are in the pattern at all times. And so it's like one of the best things for when you're watching TV. Okay, so I've got 3 clusters of 3, chain 2. It's one of the best things for like watching TV, listening to a podcast, just like totally losing yourself. And you don't have to count anything. You don't have to stop and measure anything. So when you're in the mood for that type of a project, sitting and making granny squares, I think it's a good like crochet meditation kind of activity. Okay. So I have all 4 of my clusters of 3 double crochets, and I made my 2 chains, and now I'm going to slip stitch into my first double crochet. Like that. And now this is kind of a different part, but it works pretty well. So now I'm going to be working in these spaces, these chain 2 spaces. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, but I need to get over to this one to keep going. So what I like to do is just slip stitch basically and skip over to there. And it seems like kind of funny, but it doesn't really show, and it works really well. So you can chain 3 to start. This will count as your first double crochet in your cluster. So again, we're going to do our 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and do 3 more. So what I like about this too is it does not take very much yarn to do 1, depending on how big you're making them. So you can really do some good stash buster stash buster projects. Okay, so that is, I've got my cluster of 3, 2 chains, cluster of 3. Now I'm going to chain, I'm only going to chain 1 when I go into my next chain 2 space. So in between, like on, this is going to be kind of like the sides of the square. And I'm just going in and doing the same thing again. Like I said, I'm already feeling more relaxed. It's so relaxing. And as I was saying, it doesn't take very much yarn. So even when you have like a small amount of yarn scraps, you can make a few of these. And, you know, I think a relaxing thing to do that I'm picturing for myself, now I know these. Okay, so there was 2 sets of 3, chain 2, 2 sets of 3, 1 set of 3, sorry, chain 1. Now that I know how to do this, I make a lot of hats, and most of the time, 1 skein of yarn will make 1 hat, and it's not quite enough yarn to make a second hat. So I kind of save this extra yarn. I'm like, what am I going to do? This isn't very much. What am I going to make? So granny squares, this is great. So I was thinking, I could just sit and make granny squares and just save them. And then, you know, whenever I get enough, I can put them together in something and kind of mix and match the colors. And okay, so we've got, see, it's turning into a square now. So we've got all 4 corners coming in here. And then of course, once you get these granny squares done, you want to sew them all together and make something out of it. And there's so many interesting things you can make from these. So I'm very glad that I have ventured into this world. So 1 chain to end your round, and then slip stitch in right here to your the top of your chain 3 that counted as your first double crochet. And now for this pattern, to make it look like this, I'm going to do 1 more round. Like I said, you can keep on going with this pattern as long as you want. Like I've seen some where there's like a shirt and the whole front of the shirt is 1 granny square. So I'm just slip stitching over into this corner. And now you just want to pay attention to if you're on the corner or if you're in the middle of the side, because you're going to do a little bit differently depending where you are. So chain 3 again to start, counts as a double crochet. Chain 2. And now we'll do our other cluster of 3 because we're in the corner. So this is what you do on the corners only. On the side, you're not gonna do, okay, so you've got your 3, chain 2, 3, chain 1. Do your cluster of 3, but just 1 cluster of 3 in your chain 2 space that's on the side of the square. Chain 1, and now you're in the corner, so you're going to do your 2 clusters of 3 in the corner one, and that's what keeps it looking like a square. Okay, so we're just going to continue on like that until we get to the end, and then I'm going to show you how I like to change colors for the border. All right, I'm about to do my last double crochet in this round, and then chain 1 and slip stitch into the top of this 3 chains from the first round. So that is the end of what I'm going to do in yellow. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. And now I'm going to do cream. Of course, you can do any type of colors you want, and you can actually, like a lot of people will change colors every round. So like this is one color, this is another, this is another. I think that's looks really neat. It's a lot more ends to sew in, which nobody loves, and that's not really what I'm feeling right now. So I'm doing like the way I'm envisioning this working is the cream colored yarn here will just help sew all these different squares together. Okay, so what I like to do to start, you can really start in any of the chain spaces along here. I like to start somewhere over here, and this is called a standing double crochet. So you make a slip knot on your hook, you wrap around like you do before a double crochet, you put your hook through your space, and then you continue with a double crochet. And sometimes the tension gets a little wonky. This one looks pretty good. So that's how you can start with your new color. And then you're just going to keep on going in the same pattern. So I've got my cluster of 3 here. Do my chain, do 3 more in this space. And then I do crochet over top of the knot from my last round. Sometimes it works better than others. This one might not disguise itself that well. Yeah, it might pop up like that. So I might need to take this end and weave it down back through the back to make it invisible. So that's one thing about this. It's not that easy to crochet over top of your ends because of all the spaces. So, you know, you might need to take some good old-fashioned time and weave in ends with a tapestry needle, which again, everyone hates weaving in their ends, and I don't know. I don't love it, but I kind of enjoy it. Again, it's kind of like a thoughtless, like meditation at the end of a project, which so I need a lot less thinking a lot of the time. Chain 1, and now I'm doing 3. Yeah, I don't know why I just crocheted over top of that yellow end, because it's not going to look good. Okay, I'm going to continue on in that pattern, and I will see you back. All right, I'm doing my last double crochet in this round. 1 chain, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet. That was a standing double crochet. And there you have it. Now I can pull this out and snip it off. And that is a 4 round granny square, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, a 4 round granny square. And like I said, you can make this as big as you want. You can just keep following that same pattern. You can change colors as often as you want and make it very, very colorful. And then you can sew them together, which will be another video in the future. So let me know if you would like to see that, and I will see you in the next one.